Alright, so welcome to the 5th episode of this Code Along series. On our last episode, we managed to move our game object into our cooking pot and trash can and print a little debug.log statement here. As I mentioned on the last episode, this one will be a little bit longer, probably will be a multiple part episode, because what we're going to do is a little bit more complicated than what we've done before. So basically the issue that we're going to deal with this time is the food object and the containers. If we now test our game, we can see that when I try to drag the object, I drop it very easily. This is a big issue because if you drop the object when the game is done, the object will continue to fall down, and this may cause us to miss some points and become quite frustrated. So what we're going to do is actually extend the box collider that's around the game object when we touch it in order to make sure it doesn't drop quite as easily when you move your finger. The reason we do this is if we extend the size of the box collider right now, like this, that we can actually move the food object if we touch the box with our finger, and the box is outside of the game object, which means that if we touch somewhere in this area, we will move the game object, and we want to be able to only move the game object when we touch the actual image. That's why we're going to do it this way. When we touch the game object, we will extend the box collider around the food object. This way, when we move our finger, we won't as easily drop the object. So let's reset these and jump right into our first little problem here. So what we will do is start with creating two variables. For now will be serializable. As with speed, serializable means we will be able to change those variables in the Unity UI. We will create a float and call it boxXSize. This variable will be how big on the x-axis the collider will be. We will copy paste this and call the other variable boxYSize, and this will determine how big the box will be on the y-axis. Now, as we initialize these in the Unity UI, they will throw up some warnings. So we will just set them to 0 here because I don't like the warnings. And let's do the same with speed, and then we can modify them later. And then we go down here. So we're going to the touch phases. When the touch began, we want to expand our collider, and we already have a variable for the box collider. We create here and initialize here. So this component is the actual box collider around the food object. So we will simply call .size and equal that to a new vector2. And this new vector2 will be the current collider.size.x variable plus the boxXSize variable. That's for the x-axis, and let's do the same now for the y-axis. So we will just increase the size with the variables that we've created. Alright, so then we will jump right into Unity. We will go into the food object here and extend the boxes, or set the box sizes to 1.5 for the x and 1.5 for the y. And then we will start the project. And here in the game view, we will not be able to see the box collider extend. So we will jump into scene and test it on our phone. Make sure you mark the food object, and now we touch it. And now you can see the box collider around it has extended, and it moves much more smoothly with my finger. Now for the second problem that this creates is when we draw close to the cooking pot, as soon as the box collider enters the cooking pot, we see a debug.log message, and we do not want to see that message unless most of the food object is inside the cooking pot. So what we will do is simply, as we extend, we need to make the box collider around the containers smaller. But first, let's make sure that we reset the box collider around the food object. So stop the project, head back into our script, and simply when the touch ends, we will do the same thing, but instead of adding, we will simply make sure that it is set back to 1. Alright, and that fixes the food object, and then we need to deal with the container problem.